Our country has been in conflict with the Middle Eastern countries for a long time now, going on almost 14 years. I believe this has caused some misconception in American culture about the Middle Eastern countries, which is why I have chosen to do my speech on Afghanistan. I also have a personal connection with Afghanistan because my father has been deployed there several times and has had the opportunity to interact quite closely with the Afghani people, so I will be citing him for much of this presentation. The first thing that we need to discuss when we talk about Afghanistan is their religion. They are Islamic, so that perpetuates their everyday life. Everything they do, and much of their everyday activities, goes back to their religion. In order to appropriately understand their religion, let's discuss some of the history. If you go up to any Afghani, they will be able to trace their lineage back to Abraham from the Bible, because they believe that Abraham begat Ishmael, and Muhammad, their first prophet, was descendant from Ishmael. This is important because in the news you hear about the different groups of Islam that include Sunni and Shiite. The Sunnis believe that once Muhammad died, that the man who was basically called of God should have been prophet, or their leader. The Shiites believed that Muhammad's son Ali should have been the leader. The Sunni is predominant in Afghanistan. They have 940 million followers total around the world, and the Shiites have around 120 million followers. This is significant because most of the conflict over there are between the Sunni and the Shiite. They don't like each other very much, and so they fight. Another important thing when discussing Islamic religion are the 5 pillars of Islam. These are the 5 keystones to their religion. The first is prayer. Every day, an Islamic follower will kneel in prayer 5 times, once at sunrise, mid-morning, noon, afternoon, and sunset. They kneel on their special prayer rug and face Mecca while they say their prayers. This helps them with the perfection of their faith, which is the second pillar of Islam. Their religion is a very knowledge-based religion. They believe in the Quran, which is vital to their belief system. The more you know about the Quran, the better off you are. The more passages you have memorized and can apply to your daily life, the more perfect your faith. The third pillar of Islam is fasting. You may have heard of Ramadan, which happens in August. Every day in the month of August, they abstain from physical pleasures, which include eating. Eating is the most common one. But once the sun sets, once it's nighttime, they are allowed to indulge in the things that they've been fasting from. The fourth pillar of Islam is charity and tithes. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, they're just expected to give what they can of their own personal income and assets to people who are less fortunate and in more need than them. And the fifth, and arguably most important pillar of Islam is Hajj. This is when an Islamic person travels to Mecca. They will probably save up their entire lives to go to Mecca. Here is a picture. Right here you can see it's a very large place, it's very beautiful. This is at nighttime where you can see how it's all lit up. But they believe that without having traveled to Mecca, you cannot gain entrance into heaven. Now, having a basis of their religion, we should talk about women and culture, which before the Taliban was eradicated from Afghanistan, women were oppressed, but now they are gaining leaps and bounds as far as women's rights. Although in their church and their belief system, they are still separated. Only men can hold authority positions, and the men and women in the mosque are separated during religious services. Here is a picture of a mosque in Afghanistan. It's quite beautiful, very big, ornate buildings. Now, in the public versus in the home, in the public, men are still dominant. They walk ahead while the woman walks behind. The women are very submissive in public. But once you go into their homes, that is the woman's domain. She makes the rules, and for the most part, men follow. One other significant thing is that since the Taliban has been overthrown in Afghanistan, women are no longer required to wear burqas as they were. My dad was able to meet with Governor Sarobi, who is the governor of Bamiyan province. She is the only Afghan governor in Afghanistan. He described her as a very strong and individualistic person. She has made great efforts on behalf of the women in Afghanistan. She was previously the Minister of Women's Affairs and the Minister of Culture and Education, and because of her efforts, they now have a law that requires there be a certain percentage of women in the Afghanis equivalent to our Senate and Congress. Going on to some of the greetings and courtesies in Afghanistan, again, they all have great significance in their religion. All of the most popular greetings and farewells have root in their word for God, which is Allah. The bottoms of their feet never face others. They take off their shoes when entering a building. As outsiders, anybody who's not Afghani, they are not allowed to speak directly to or touch a woman, an Afghani woman, that is looked down upon. But an Afghan man may speak directly to an Afghani woman or shake her hand, other cordial things like that. If you visit an Afghan's home, they will want to give you everything because they're very proud people, even though they don't have much. My dad had described an experience where he visited this man's home, and the man proceeded to give him a month's worth of his family's meat supply, all packaged up, ready to go. But what was understood by everybody in attendance is that even though he was given this very valuable gift, he was not to take it with him. He was to leave it once he left the house. This is just goes to show how proud they are as a people. The honor in giving gifts is very important to them because you're not allowed to refuse a gift. If you refuse a gift from an Afghani, then it's taken with great offense. Again, also, Americans' credibility is very great in Afghanistan. Anything an American says is hard and fast and will not likely to be doubted. So my impression from Afghanistan is very good. I believe that they are very strong people. They have gone through a lot of hardships as a culture and as a community. Lots of things have been hard for them, but yet they have maintained a very strong cultural identity, and I'm very impressed with them. I love learning about the Afghan culture. Thank you for listening to my speech.